Who are the most cringe UFC fighters? Well, in this tier list video, we're going to be working that out. I've got the most cringe fighters in the UFC all around the screen, and I'm going to drag and drop them into where I think they belong in this tier list. Obviously, S tier is like the kings of cringe. You know, these people, you can hardly hear them speak without going, oh my God, that is awful. Why have you just said that? All the way down to F, where it's like, you know, every once in a while you're like, oh, I don't know if you should have said that, bro. But, you know, for the most part, they get away with it. So welcome to the video. I'm MMA Tizzer. Subscribe if you're new, leave a like if you enjoy the video, and without further ado, let's get right into this tier list. Starting off with a very cringe guy, Kamaru Usman, or Marty Usman, whatever you want to call him. He's going at the top of A. This guy's really cringe. You know, owl sounds. He says really stupid things like taking what from who, and then gets head kick KO'd. His dancing is terrible. That is the most hard to watch thing ever. And he's just really cringe in general. He's always at events. You usually see him making a fool of himself. He does have really bad taste in clothes as well. A lot of his clothes are crazy bad. You know, trust him to make a really bad outfit that I'd never wear. And yeah, he's just really cringe in general. He's literally the one fight where he talked the most trash. He got finished. So sums up Usman, doesn't it? And he just can't. Everything he says is so cringe. Like the let's wrestle thing, which he stole from Khabib and Conor. Then the whoo thing as well. So, you know, it's just stuff like that. Makes him really cringe. There's that really awkward moment between him and Leon where he offered him to grab the belt, and then instead Leon just grabbed his arm and pulled him. That was really funny. And yeah, obviously Usman just a pretty cringe. And, you know, the day after he got knocked out for the first time in his UFC career as champion, he posts the next day not a message about, you know, I'm alright guys. He posted a video of him dancing in the car with his daughter, which was pretty concerning because I was pretty scared the CT had got to him. But he is okay, thankfully. So yeah, Usman A tier, pretty unquestionable in my opinion. On some days he could make S, but he's here for now because, you know, S tier's got some really bad ones in it. We move on. Joaquin Buckley. Putting him in C tier or D tier. We're putting him in C. This guy's pretty cringe. Every interaction he has is basically the same one. They go basically, it ends in him shouting and saying the same thing again and again and again. He's probably going to see this video, to be honest, because I know he does watch a lot of YouTube MMA stuff. So, yep, please don't get too mad, Joaquin, but you are pretty cringe. You know, he just shouts a lot. He tried to fight Chimaev, you know, when he was just off a loss to Amavov, which obviously, you know, that isn't going to happen, is it? You're not going to fight Chimaev, one of the biggest hype prospects in UFC history, when you lose to Nasruddin Amavov. And yeah, obviously, you know, this guy got flatlined by Chris Curtis after talking loads of shit, so ain't going too good for him at the moment. And that's all I really have to say about him. We move on. Kobe Covington. I'm going to put him in D, okay? Because he's much less cringe than Kamaru Usman, but sometimes his jokes do miss the mark, and a lot of people don't like him. You know, his delivery is usually good, but occasionally he says a joke and it lands flat and no one in the audience laughs, and it's really awkward because his jokes are usually, you know, quite extreme, shall we say. And, you know, he obviously is playing a character. Sometimes he takes it too far, but he has that, you know, the excuse of being a character. So, you know, it's not me doing it and he was just trying to make money. So it is what it is. He's pretty funny sometimes, though. Obviously, he's close with the president. I mean, fair enough, you know, respect, you know, you're friends with Donald Trump, actual friends with him, which is good to see, you know. Obviously, it meant a lot to him when Donald Trump phoned him, but occasionally can be cringe. And he does talk a lot of shit for a guy that's lost twice to the champion, so he can't really roast Usman too much when he's got 2 L's to him, and one of them was by stoppage, so it is what it is, but usually pretty funny. We move on to Aljamain Sterling. A. This guy's really cringe. Obviously, he has a bit of a problem speaking. Not like speaking problem, but every time he says something, he says the wrong thing, basically. So he tried to be intimidating to Peter Yan. He messed up what he was saying, and it sounded the complete opposite of intimidating, if you get what I'm saying. I'm sure you can find that clip on YouTube. He frequently makes mistakes like that. He's also a victim of terrible dancing. And yeah, everything he says is really cringe. His trash talk's terrible. He thinks he's going to beat Volk. That's really cringe to listen to. He talks like he's going to beat Volk when he's just going to get destroyed by him. And what's even more cringe is he won't fight the best fighter in his division, Marab, because first of all, he's scared of him and he knows he's going to lose to him. And second of all, he acts like they're friends so he doesn't get smashed by him. So there's that. That's also very cringe. This guy's trash talking the Peter Yan fights was cringe. And obviously, the most cringe thing he's ever done is basically drop an Oscar wherever he performs in his first Peter Yan fight, where he rolled around on the floor after getting kneed. Was that a bad knee? And should he have got the belt? I agree, yeah. He shouldn't have partied the next day, though. Bro was like cracking, busting moves, you know. He was doing everything. And, you know, whereas 24 hours ago, roughly, he was dancing all over the floor. So, you know, pick a side, Aljo. We move on. The S-tier fighter on the list. We have Israel Adesanya. He's going in S-tier, obviously, because it's Israel Adesanya. Sorry about that. Yeah, Israel Adesanya is in S tier. This guy is pretty unbearable in general. Obviously, at the weekend, he got extremely drunk and then had a bit of an altercation with Drickus in the cage. That was super cringe to watch. The media didn't like that, to be honest. You know, they didn't like that. That blew up all over social media. Drickus won a lot of fans over. And this guy makes so many slogans and trademarks, and you can tell he's just been writing them down the night before in his notepad or on his phone notes, like the I don't keep scores, I settle them. Well, you know, that's all fine and good, but when Drickus knocks you out and then declines a rematch by saying I don't keep scores, I settle them, what's your excuse going to be then? You know, and or if Rob won and then knocked you out, you know, he would have been 2-1, but then he would have done the same thing to you, and you would have been crying about it. Obviously, talked a load of trash in the first Pereira fight, got flatlined. Well, not flatlined, but he got finished. And just generally really cringe. His dancing's pretty good, to be fair. Adesanya can dance because he does like to bust out the moves. He can do backflips and crazy stuff like that. So, yeah. But this guy's just really cringe. His Instagram's really cringe. 1 minute he loves his fans, the next minute he hates them. I'm surprised this guy has fans, to be honest, when he's treating them like that. He says they're idiots all the time, yet, you know, they're the guys that are literally paying to watch your fights and therefore giving you a living. A very good one at that. You know, this guy's not poor at all. He's very rich. You know, he's on like at least $1 million a fight. So, yeah, that's Israel Adesanya. Is he going to get even more cringe in the future? Yeah. I think he's got a bit of insecurities or something, maybe. I'm not going to go too much into it, but, you know, I think there's something there for Adesanya, and we'll see in his next fight how he manages it, because I don't think it's going to be good. When he gets emotional, he gets to even more cringe. So, you know, when there's nothing on the line, like a Cannonier fight, he's very chill. He's not very cringe whatsoever, but when he's emotional is he very cringe stuff incoming. So get ready for that at UFC 284, I think. 284 will probably be the fight card with Drickus, so get ready for that. We move on. Henry Cejudo, he's going in it. I don't know, I think Izzy deserves a tier of his own, but Henry's going in A with these lot. These guys are all very, very cringe here. I'm obviously Henry Cejudo. He's called Triple C. He should be Quadruple C because he's the king of cringe too. This guy literally brung plushies on the stage and threw them at people of fighters he thinks he's going to beat or has beaten. So that's very cringe. He talked a lot of shit to Aljo and then lost to him. So that was cringe. And his delivery is, it's terrible on one-liners. He can't deliver one-liners whatsoever. Really hard to watch. Very forced. Putting on a character, just like Usman. Usman puts on a character, you can tell he's trying to be cool, and it backfires. Same with Adesanya. Aljamain Sterling's just really cringe in general. But yeah, obviously that press conference between Sterling and Cejudo was a nightmare. It was just so cringe. The biggest cringe combo of all time, you could say. But yeah, so that's why he's there. We move on. Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor is going in E because, you know, prime Conor was not cringe whatsoever. But Conor in his last two fights, specifically his last fight, that was pretty cringe, I'm not going to lie. The trash talk was not on point in that fight, and obviously he did say a lot of stuff, and then he got his leg broken in the first round. So, doesn't look too good. Talking a lot of stuff to Chandler. Again, not the best trash talk in the world, so, it does put him on this list, but compared to these guys, they have nothing on him in comparison to how cringe they are. But if he keeps up this new kind of trash talk style, he might have to move up the list. But he's staying here because, Prime Connor was way less cringe. He wasn't cringe whatsoever. But his last performance, some of the stuff he said was pretty cringe at the press conference. And then after as well on the mic, that was pretty cringe too. So, yeah, he earns a spot. We'll leave it at that. Moving on, John Jones. He's going D tier. The reason being is because he kind of says like he's a holy guy. Anyone that knows John Jones knows that John Jones is not a holy guy. But other than that, he's not too cringe. I'll give him credit. He did the GOAT, do you speak it thing to Tank Davis. So that was pretty funny. That was pretty original. I've never heard that before. Didn't talk a lot of trash to Cyril and beat him. Nothing was cringe in that altercation. So yeah, but D tier just primarily because of that. And also, there was another cringe moment where he tried to he basically had this idea that he had a book, right? He'd read a book about self-success and stuff like that and confidence and stuff. And like a guide to life. And he basically was saying that he's going to win the fight because he's read it and Dominic Reyes hasn't. But then Dominic Reyes was like, oh yeah, I've read that book, by the way. Yeah, I've read that book. And Jones was like, oh, because he didn't really think he would have read the book. But yeah, so that was pretty awkward. Other than that, not too bad. Just, the whole holy thing. We move on. Brandon Moreno. Oh my God, I've had it with this guy. I'm going to be honest, guys. Thank God he ain't the champion anymore because he's really irritating me. He's just annoying, isn't he? Plays with Lego. He used to be likable, but he's just got even more cringe. And every time he gets punched, I've noticed this. I don't know if anyone else has. He goes like this. He pulls like a sour face, like he's just bitten a lemon. And that annoys me personally. I don't know why. I can't help it, but it just does. And yeah, he's just quite irritating nowadays. So, and also he gets a title shot literally every fight, which is even more annoying because he doesn't deserve it. He's 1-2 in his last 3, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, we move on. Mike Mallow, D tier. This guy, they've called him Canadian Michael Chandler, and it's true. Moderately cringe. He's funny, but the stuff he's saying, I feel like an American or a Canadian would like it more than me, because obviously people in Europe are generally more sarcastic, I'd say, or they're less about like that hype mindset. They're just more down to earth. But fair enough. The Americans probably love it. Canadians maybe love it. I don't know. So he was like, I'm gonna bring the house down. We are gonna lock this up. I'm gonna hold the house down for Canada or Canada or whatever. So yeah, if you like it, fair enough. But he is a little bit over the top for me. But he's good, so I'm not gonna complain too much because this guy's getting wins in motorweight. So fair enough. We move on to another fighter, Marvin Vettori. He's pretty cringe. He's going in B tier. One of the most cringe things about this guy is his pure delusion. He thinks he beat Adesanya twice. He didn't. The first fight was close. The second fight, he still thinks he won that. He got basically 5-0'd, as far as I can remember. And he's terrible. He gets outstruck in basically every match nowadays. And yeah, that's all I have to say. Obviously, the press conference for Adesanya, the second fight, that was cringe. How is that even a question moment and stuff, and he was just screaming at the top of his lungs. I think he just learned English, so yeah, it was very cringe, and that is why he's there. Next time, Marvin, don't talk as much trash. So when you lose because your striking's terrible and you don't grapple offensively, we can all not be mad at you. We move on. Luke Rockhold, very cringe, very very cringe. This guy, when he fought Bisping the second time, he was calling himself a samurai. He was basically saying he was the reincarnation of everything great in the world. And he got knocked out. So he isn't. He's very deluded as well. He said that when he came back to fight Paulo Costa, he was in the best shape of his life. I somewhat doubt that, considering he was about 38 and he gassed in one round. And I know he was in Utah, but he didn't look like he was in the best shape of his life. And when he was fighting Mike Perry, he said he was literally going to, he's the toughest he's ever felt. And then he quit after his tooth got knocked out. So again, this guy does make a lot of false promises to the fans. So if Luke Rockhold says he's the lock of the week, maybe don't trust him. That's all I'm going to say. We move on. Michael Chandler, C tier, okay? More cringe than Mike Mallow, because he's doing it longer. But, like, this guy just, everything is about success to him. He thinks he's, like, the main character of life. It's quite funny. He's a nice guy, Michael, He's a nice guy. Very serious sometimes. He's always got a point, like a message to give, This guy definitely, I don't follow him on Instagram, but I can tell you now, he definitely posts inspirational quotes. I reckon he likes a Minion meme too. Michael Chandler looks like he likes a Minion meme. Seems like his kind of personality. I reckon he gets a good chuckle out of them. But yeah, so that's why he's there. All the inspirational stuff. He did about 5 backflips after knocking out Tony Ferguson, which was quite funny. But you know why he's here. He's that like inspirational American character, so he has to be here. Final person on the list is Darren Till, and the reason Darren Till's going in D tier because his chat isn't that cringe. He's quite down to earth, but it's when he says that he's trained the hardest he's ever trained. That irritates me because no one believes it anymore, and no one ever will. So that's why Darren Till's in D tier. But that is the tier list video, guys. I just want to thank you guys for watching. Subscribe if you're new. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Obviously, just more of a comedic one. And then comment down below who else should be on this list. Because obviously, I kind of remembered everyone and where they belong. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.